Hey, this is Kevin Douglas. I am playing Goblins and Vintage, and we are on the draw. And it looks like we've got a turn one chalice available or a pile driver, but with two wastelands, no red source other than Semi Spirit Guide, and no white source to Castalia. I think we have to mulligan. So this hand is also bad, but I think I'm gonna keep it because we'll see a scry. And with Strip Mine and Wasteland, Simian Spear Guide, Lotus Petal, if we find a good payoff card, like I don't think it's Pile Driver, like a Ringleader, you know, if we can keep the opponent off on mana, then we might not be too bad. Now, seeing shops here, if they go with like a sphere, that could be bad for us, but if we're able to Wasteland, Strip Mine some of their mana away, maybe it's not so bad. Hangerback Walker is not good for us, for sure. But if that's all they can play this turn, maybe it's not the end of the world. So there's some action. Actually, casting Thalia is not too bad. Means I probably didn't want to run out that wasteland. I probably wanted to cast Thalia, although I guess it just gets Hangerback Walkered, so maybe not. I think we gotta get rid of that factory or that workshop. And I'm gonna run out this Lotus Petal now, just before they get like a sphere effect in play. But hopefully they were just banking on that workshop and a Mox Pearl. So there's a wasteland. We'll probably trade that with our Strip Mine, or just play a basic. A Steel Overseer in combination with Hangerback Walker, I think is just going to be like game over for us. Unless we have a way to get rid of that Hangerback Walker. We could just keep running creatures out, making them use the tokens, tap Steel Overseer to get one back, but or the counters. So I think I'm going to run out a Thalia. I mean, it's just going to die to the hanger. You know what? I'm thinking this is a Ballista. So I am confused. This isn't nearly as bad as I thought it was until they get a Ravager out. Because we can chunk Hangerback Walker for a while. It's when they go to sacrifice it and get all those Thopters that's going to be hard for us because we can't block flying. We don't really have an answer for that. Rexing Metamorph probably on Steel Overseer. Yeah, I'll just take 3 here. The Skirk Prospector. We could Strip Mine the Mishra's Workshop. Cast Skirk Prospector. Then really hope we find like a ringleader that draws us into a couple relevant goblins. Or like a Krenko. The opponent's drawn a strip mine, so there goes our island. We could actually still cast a 4 CMC Goblin next turn with our Skirk Prospector. So they're going to start crashing with that 5/5 hanger back. And if we don't draw really well here, then I think that's just game over. Pile Driver. And we're going to have to sack the Skirk Prospector to cast it. Or, I mean, exile a Semi-Spirit Guide to cast it. Nah, we're just too far behind with these Steel Overseers. So, I'm going to go ahead and concede. Go ahead and begin sideboarding. So I actually like Pyrokinesis. We have some Artifact Hate and Wear Tear. Aegis of the Gods, if they are running Ballista and some sort of sacrifice outlet like Ravager, might be good to have one of those in. I like Path to Exile. Sting Scourge is good tempo. So we can take out Chalice. Null Rod's good. Take out Throne of Amethyst. Don't think we need to keep in Thalia's. And let's see. Don't really want to cut down on any mana sources. It might be hard to get in with a Goblin Lackey. So actually, that might be the or our pile drivers get chumped. So maybe I keep the Lackey just in case we can have like a really explosive turn 1 with like Pyrokinesis or something, or like turn 1 Lackey, turn 2 Sting Scourger to bump something up that they have. Could also, I think we want Null Rod in play, so I think we're gonna cut a pile driver. I want the turn 1 like speed. We'll go ahead and submit that. So we got 2 lackeys and a bunch of ringleaders. Go ahead and keep here. Hope they can't block the lackey. Because we're a little bit all in on one of these lackeys connecting. Because we're really far away from casting these ringleaders. I'm gonna go ahead and F6 here. We don't need to like hold up any interaction. Unfortunately, they did have a hand that started off with Workshop and a Mana Crypt. So that's pretty ridiculous. Founder Inspector, because why not? And a Sphere Resistance. Ouch. So we do have another Goblin Lackey. I don't really want to get a white source here, but we kind of, I think we have to. Because we brought in enough white cards, Path to Exile, Wear Tear, that we will need that mana if we're able to draw those cards. So, you know, if this is all that they had in their hand and it's like a couple land or something, maybe it's not so bad because they can't really attack and let us hit with one of those lackeys. Or maybe that's how they feel. Oh my gosh, another workshop. That's just the nuts. And they're gonna respect the goblin lackeys. So there's a wear tear that we just cannot cast yet. So we'll just run out another lackey. And maybe they give us an opening to put like a Krenko into play. Honestly, now that I think I may want to attack. No, I mean if I attack there, they can really just like sack the sphere and Mox Jet and leave us with 0 board. So definitely good to not have attack there. They're gonna cast a Worm Coil Engine, which is pretty good. We're gonna immediately sacrifice it. That's actually better for us. Than the 6/6. It does give them more blockers. Maybe they're banking on like the Goblin lackeys not getting through. Now they're sacking one Arcbound Ravager to another Arcbound Ravager. So it looks like they're just going to try to go big. Unfortunately, wear on anything but Arcbound Ravager is kind of a bummer. Because they can just sacrifice it to Arcbound Ravager. So I might just want to clear this lifelink worm off the table. Or maybe just the Arcbound to get rid of those Arcbound shenanigans. It's if we can find a land. Path to Exile is also pretty good. So I think I might just hold up Path to Exile. And see if they try to sacrifice that Arcbound Ravager to put tokens on the lifelink worm. Gonna go ahead and tap. So there's another Arcbound Ravager. So they're gonna sack that to put the counters on the Arcbound Ravager. That's already got a bunch of counters on it. And I just really hope that they try to put that on that lifelink worm. So they're going to sacrifice the Sphere of Resistance. They're going to sacrifice the Boundary Inspector. And they'll attack, and actually, I think I just take it. Actually, I think I wear the Arcbound Ravager, puts all the tokens on the lifelink worm. They'll gain 8. Let's see, so they got 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm not dead. And then I'll have a great board presence. They have 0 cards. Alternatively, I could block the 8/8, assuming that they then sack it to put the tokens on the lifelink. I think that's what I'll do. Because I'm already going to connect with 2 Goblin Lackeys. Because they don't have a follow-up. So if they sack it, I'm still going to keep my Goblin Lackeys. They're going to gain 3 life. Maybe I want to keep my Lackey there, honestly. We're going to go ahead and wear. And then next turn we can Path to Exile, whatever they put all those tokens on. Then hopefully this turns into like just this amazing comeback. And they didn't sacrifice the Crypt, which I'm kind of surprised about. That might help us out over the course of the game. So there's really no reason to Path to Exile the Worm just yet. Yeah, so it looks like they said they're not sure they're to play that right attack in there is new to Vintage and that deck. Let's say we'll see. So, yeah, it looks like they didn't respect the lackeys. And we'll see what we get here with a Goblin Ringleader. And what's great about stacking these triggers like this is that one Ringleader, depending on what you find, gives you the option to put in to play something that you drew. So, and in this case, I don't think we need to put in another Ringleader because we're just going to end up with cards in our hand that we can't cast. So I'm going to put in a War Chief. And then I think I'll hold up Path. So there's a Foundry Inspector. Doesn't really do much now for them. I mean, they already have plenty of mana. Where it's really good is in the early game to get, you know, super head on board or break that parity with the prison elements. Yeah, so once again, they're gonna, so I'm gonna Path to Exile this worm. I'm not going to block the Death Touch. And then now I'm tempted to Path the Foundry Inspector, but I don't really think I need to. So, Lotus Petal is actually pretty good. Because what we can do is Lotus Petal Matron for 1 less. Find a Pile Driver. Swing in with the team. they're gonna have to block the pile driver, I think. With the Foundry Inspector, we'll get 2 Lackey triggers to get some blockers on board. So I think that's what we'll do. I could also path the Foundry Inspector, find a Sting Scourger, return their Worm token to hand. I think that's what I'm going to do. We'll go ahead and path that. So get rid of that Foundry Inspector, get in with the team, bounce the Worm token. And then I think we'll play, put a Goblin Ringleader into play. So nothing there. Any order. Then Sting Scourger. Says I wish I had a Tabernacle, so I just said no kidding. So goblins everywhere. That's true. And so I'm not really sure what they could draw, short of maybe another, Wormcoil Engine maybe. But it looks like they find a Wasteland, and that should be game. Don't really care about that. Whew. So I feel like I kind of stole that one. Opponent said they never should have let those Goblin Lackeys attack, which is true. It does make me wonder though. I mean, no rod on the draw. Do I need 3 of them? I guess I don't really know what else I'd bring in. It's kind of funny. I sided out Chalice on the play. I guess I probably wanted to do that to maybe turn off some Lotus, or I mean some like of all the mocks. But I don't want it in on the draw. So we've got land. We have a Path to Exile. I think we have to keep. It's not great. We don't. It's kind of slow. But Goblins isn't exactly like a super fast deck to begin with. Black Lotus, Ancient Tomb, 5 mana available. Looks like opponents maybe gonna put like Lodestone Golem into play. Nope, a Steel Overseer and 1, 2 Hanger Backwalker. Cool. So we're gonna Path to Exile, a Steel Overseer, and a Grafdigger's Cage. So Grafdigger's Cage, did not want to bring that in because it does not do anything for us. We don't actually put anything into play from the library. So I feel a little bit bad because that's maybe just a learning experience for the opponent. I'm going to go ahead and lead off with this mountain. No, this plateau and Path to Exile, Steel Overseer. So FYI, We don't cast anything from the yard or have creatures enter from the library. It's all tutors, and Lackey puts the cards into play from the hand. So they exhausted a lot of resources to play that Steel Overseer and a Grafdigger's Cage. And all they're left with is an Ancient Tomb and a Hangerback Walker and 2 cards. Depending on what those 2 cards are, they might be pretty good for us. Especially if they kept like a sketchy hand, thinking Grafdigger's Cage was gonna you know, shut off something that we really cared about. So this, I mean, Foundry Spectre is annoying. Strip Mine's also annoying because all the cards in our hand are super expensive. They're probably gonna nab a land here pretty soon. So I think I'm just gonna get proactive and Strip Mine. Now, see, here's the tempting thing, because they just have the Strip Mine. They're not going to, if it's their only land, you know, even with the Foundry Spectre, I have a feeling they probably have to keep it. The Ancient Tomb does do them damage, but it also lets them, in combination with Foundry Spectre, play much better cards than we are. So even though the Ancient Tomb does them damage, we have plenty of creatures to do that later. So I'm just going to try to keep them off of mana. There's Mishra's Factory. So they're going to keep us off mana, which is actually fine. You know, they're presenting a bit of a clock, but we might draw some chump blockers here. We have plenty of mana. Go ahead and play Mountain Go. Something like a Sting Scourger would be really good here. And I just kind of hope that they just don't draw any more land. So there's a War Chief. I guess I could have played the Arid Mesa, just in case they draw like a Wasteland. So I guess I can't like avoid playing these things forever. So now they're up to 2 mana with a Foundry Spectre out. Honestly, actually a Wear Tear would be really good, or another path. I'd like to get rid of that Foundry Spectre. Skirk Prospector. So I'm going to go Cavern of Souls, Goblin, put out a War Chief. Then next turn, we should have enough mana to hopefully go Ringleader into another chump blocker. They have mana to make Factory, yeah, I'm about to say, so I wasn't going to attack in there anyway because of that Mishra's Factory. I do think it was probably a good idea nabbing that War Chief. So now we really need to get a couple chump, or a chump blocker in next turn, or a Pyrokinesis. Pyrokinesis would probably be our best draw. So I guess it's good we didn't fetch there. It is bad that we can't fetch now. So there's Path to Exile. Not going to save us. Wow, bummer. I really thought that maybe we were going to get come back from that game, but we did not. So good games. Go ahead and... I'm going to fetch myself to death. So, anyways, that's a fun match. You know, Shops is a really good deck. Obviously, Goblins is just kind of like a pet deck of mine. It's just fun. It doesn't just automatically lose to Shops. It definitely doesn't feel favored, but you know, every time that I play, it seems like whenever I pick up Goblins, I always end up playing some sort of Shops deck in the practice room, and they're surprisingly fun. I mean, Goblins can, you know, once it builds up enough of board presence, it can actually give Shops kind of a headache just because of you got all the chump blockers, and then you know, eventually you just turn into like that hard advantage engine. But did not work out this time.